back to Iron Rage, the show where John Romano, Lee Priest, and I vent our frustrations with the world. Today's topic, I don't even know how to say this. They throw this shit in our lap. It's all bull, MD all bull, we call it this week. Bostin Loyd, let me give you a little background. Bostin Loyd called me up, we're good friends, and he said Steve Bleckman had called him up and said that he wanted him to come over and do something controversial over at MD. I said, Bostin, don't do it. I said, they're gonna pull the wool out from under you. Believe me, they're gonna promise you the world. He goes, look, Dave, I don't want any money from them. I told him I'm not exclusive. I said, all right, well then I guess you can't really go too wrong over there. I figured, what the hell could happen, right? So basically Ron Harris worked this whole deal out, and he with Bostin, and Bleckman okayed it, I guess. And so they basically told Bostin, you can talk about anything you want. We're gonna call it Real Talk. We'll put it up on the site. It lasted up on the MD site, his first episode, for less than 6 hours. And of course, it came down mysteriously and no one knew why. And then Ron Harris put out an apologetic video basically saying that, I didn't want it coming down, but Steve made me take it down. The all no bull website lasted 6 hours on there, because Bostin obviously insulted some people on there that probably called Bleckman up threatening to do whatever to him. Now, John, does this surprise you?
Surprise me? Of course not. I mean, you got to understand, Bleckman's entire business is probably, one half an advertiser away from bankruptcy. So he's super hyper cautious about not alienating or pissing off his advertisers, because he's got so few advertisers left, and what few he does have, he's probably given away the store,
right?
To keep. And all they got to do is call him up and say, this Bostin Loyd guy is saying bad stuff, and then Bleckman will completely, cave in, because his advertisers are everything. So.
I don't even think, John, it was about advertisers. I truly believe, I think he insulted Thomas O'Connor, the anabolic doc guy over there, and it really was only an offhanded statement he made. He really wasn't harping on it too much, and I think that the guy probably called up, I know Thomas, he probably called up Bleckman complaining, and Bleckman probably figured, well, how can I give up one of my free writers for the magazine? I can't afford to pay anyone. I owe everyone money, so he pulled it off. Now, Ron, the whole thing, I'm going to go to Lee in a second. The whole thing with Ron Harris is, he looks like a total idiot in all this. And I know he purposely put out there, he's like, I know Dave and those guys are going to have a field day with this. And, Ron, I kind of feel bad for you. Because I know you're basically the doormat over there, and that you got to do whatever Steve tells you to do. And all your ideas get foo-fooed. You get one good idea, figuring, Bostin will bring some traffic into the site. And it ended in 6 hours. So, Lee, you were one of these guys over there that Bleckman was always telling, Lee, be controversial, talk about this guy. And then when the shit came down, Bleckman was like, why'd you do that? And then they had to pull articles and pull. So you've had this done to you personally by them.
Oh yeah, he'd always do that. Steve would go running the other way, and I'm just upset that I didn't actually see this video that Bostin put up, because
it's up on Bostin's website. You can watch it. Bostin reposted it on his YouTube.
Oh, cool. I'll have to go watch it, because, what was Steve born yesterday? We all know what Bostin's like. We all know Bostin says it how it is. He's going to say what it is, whether it's regarding people in the industry, whether it's regarding drug use in the industry. It's like, we all know how Bostin is. So all of a sudden, they ask him to come on board, do this thing, and then when they put it up, they get all upset that, oh my God, maybe he shouldn't have said that, or he upset somebody and did this. And then for Ron Harris, you say, you feel sorry for him in it, but, saying he looks like an idiot. Well, generally he looks like an idiot. Generally he is an idiot. Simple as that. So it's like, Ron Harris just does what Steve says. I'm sure there's some days fucking Ron goes into work, strips down naked, covers himself in baby powder, and stands in Steve's office for like 10 hours like the statue of David. You look beautiful, Ron. Just turn a bit more. You're like the Michelangelo in my office. Fucking hell. Ron Harris is going to do whatever Steve says, At the moment, Ron used to be a good reporter. When MD had you there, John there, me there, Greg Valentino there, everyone was over at the magazine. It was a great magazine. Now all he's got's Ron Harris, who's his little cum dumpster, and then he's got fucking douchey. And you got Douchey, a fucking internet troll who is now working for a fucking so-called online magazine, because the magazine's just fucking trash. Like I said, I can make more sense out of the shit on my toilet paper when I wipe my ass than I can with the MD magazine. You know, at least with the toilet paper, I can pick the corn out and have a snack while I'm taking a dump.
You know, John.
Well, of course, who they got there? It's like I said, Douchey, an internet troll, and Ron Harris, and you know, Ron's just like I said, Steve's right hand. He'll do and say whatever Steve says. Said his whole bullshit. I didn't want to take it down, blah, 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 trying to look like the good guy. It's like I said, Ron Harris and Steve Blackman know what fucking Bostin Loyd's like. Everybody does. So all of a sudden they're so offended and shocked that he said something or upset someone. Give me a fucking break. Maybe his glutes just weren't ripped enough for Steve and Steve got upset.
You know, John, you said, you know, years ago, you know, when we first started RxMuscle in 09, you said that Blackman we will put him out of business. I don't know how long it's going to take, we'll put him out of business. I think he's beyond being put out. I think it's actually, he should have shut shop down like 2 years ago, because now he's like the laughing stock over there with what's going on. It's not even, there's no bodybuilder or there's no personality over there that gives them any kind of validation that they are actually a news agency to be taken seriously. Now they're kind of like I actually feel bad for them, don't you?
What a disgrace for the oldest running title in bodybuilding publications. You know, MD is the oldest title left standing, and you know, in the twilight of its life, how disgraceful it is that it's just limping along, you know, with regurgitated bullshit and, you know, basically two people. And you know, you got to look at it this way, Dave. You're right. MD went out of business 3 years ago. What is concurrently passing for MD is a dead man walking. It's just it's whatever Blackman can do to keep the doors open tomorrow. It's not pay anybody. It's string everybody along. It's lie, bullshit. You know, overpromise, underproduce, and there's no hope for that publication. None, zero, nothing. So, you know, anybody who's putting money into that is either doing it to stroke their ego that they got a magazine, you know, they got their picture in a magazine, or they're just completely uninformed. MD died 2-3 years ago. What's functioning now is just a shell of its former self, and it's only being propped up for as long as Blackman can rob Peter to pay Paul. That entity is not making any money. So
stop it, John. You're using the words limp and stroking and all this sort of stuff. You're making my mind go crazy, John. Stop it.
That's the whole idea.
Reminds me of the days in the office with all the bodybuilders. Oh, beautiful days.
Lee, you know, I'll tell you one thing. Lee's picture was the only picture up in the office. You remember, Johnny had that big poster of Lee?
Yeah. Well, and no, he had him. He shot him for that whole line of bullshit supplements he was going to put out.
Was there candles around my picture? Did he bow down to it at lunchtime?
There was no bodybuilders up except Lee. Huge picture of Lee.
No, there was a shrine. There was like you know, feathers and some chicken blood and some kind of a doll. You know,
bit of my semen, and a bit of urine from the drug sample back in 1998.
Yep, exactly.
Do you think now that Boston's been like Gorney, do you think there's chances he'll ask me back?
You know, Lee, that's what I want to ask you. Why wouldn't Blackman just let this guy go and talk about whatever he wants? Who is he insulting at this point? There's no one left.
His advertisers.
There's no advertisers. Jared Weed's the only guy left.
There's got to be somebody there to make that catalog, you know, look.
Well, the
pretty.
next one to leave is going to be his wife, because you know the only way he's keeping that magazine going is cutting into Aspen fucking skiing fund. He's using the money from the holiday.
They got run out of Aspen. They're out of there.
Did they?
Yeah.
So
they had
where's he go now? Fucking Movie World, Florida. Come on now. They got some rides with snow. We can pretend we're at Aspen. Come on.
Yeah.
Look, there's Mr. Freeze. Mr. Freeze. Oh, we're in Aspen.
You know, Dave, I wonder, you brought up, you know, bringing Lee back. I wonder if it goes through Blackman's mind, now that he's gone so completely full circle, that all he's got is Dookie and Ron Harris. Right. And maybe he ought to start looking at some of the old, you know, bringing some people back, you know?
The problem is he can't afford to pay anyone.
Not only that, but who would go there? It's like, hey, my ship is sinking. Yeah. It's on the way down. Come on, let's have a drink.
I think you know how like everyone goes to Vegas, all these entertainers when they're end of their career. Maybe he can get like what is it called? Humperdick. I always remember the guy. Engelbert Humperdick. He can get him to come over there.
I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back to Steve's office with the band and play "To My God to Thee" as the fucking ship goes down. Be very, very reminiscent of Titanic.
Yeah, exactly. That ship.
But really, the only thing that's destroyed that magazine is probably Steve. Like you said, I don't know what's happened to it. It used to be great. It used to be run well. He had the majority of people over there. It was like the magazine was talked about everywhere you went. On the internet, MD Magazine, the great columns in there. I had like up to 2 or 3 columns in there sometimes. God knows why people would read my shit, but they did. So it was like, it was a great magazine. But now, like I said, it's just crazy. It's like a catalogue for ads. Yep. Like John said, all the articles in there just rehash stuff. They must just be going through all the old magazines when it was decent and seeing what they can pull out of it, and then just have Dookie or someone put their name to it. And like I said, you got a guy like Dookie. He was an internet troll, and now he's working for a magazine. I'm sure he'll be walking around the expos acting like he's some big fucking reporter for the Washington Post or something. But and he's like, fuck. He did get a good role though in that Greatest Showman, that movie with Hugh Jackman. There's a few fucking freaks in that Barnum and Bailey circus. I thought it was fucking Dookie. Thought I saw Dookie in there.
It just goes to show you that there's not many websites out there, John, news agencies, if you want to call them now, because that's what we are now, all the internet sites that are really willing to still put the truth on the line. And look, we've been doing this, since we started, and we've gotten in trouble before. Sometimes we tread the line, as we always have to. But when we say something on here, it's the truth. We're not sugarcoating it. We're not trying to make it seem like it's better than it is. We're not trying to deceive anyone. And that's always been, that's been, I think, what kept the fans really loyal to us over these years. And it's not like we're trying to put people down. We didn't make up this story. These stories get thrown in our lap. We talk about this stuff. And the bottom line is that the internet community out there, the YouTube community, wants the truth. They want to hear it like it is. They want to hear real talk. That was the column they gave to Boston, and MD couldn't last 6 hours. And it's a shame.
The really sad thing about this, and I've said this before, is that were it not for Bleckman's maniacal ego, he would be presiding now he would be the king of internet media as far as bodybuilding goes. If he had left us alone and let Dave and I, build the website and add, all our components with Lee and Derek Anthony and Greg Valentino and Mr. G and Smalley Brothers and everything that we were doing, those huge expos, those shows we put on at the expos at the Arnold and the Olympia, where we had the stage and we had entertainment going on. We were the driving force of the industry. That magazine was 550 some odd pages. Our internet site was gaining ground left and right. We had the best radio shows. We had the best of everything. And Bleckman came in one day and fucking destroyed it. So if he had managed to maintain his ego and kept Dave and me there, everything that RxMuscle is today would have been part of MD. Right. He would have been presiding over the biggest, most successful, most far-reaching internet media entity with respect to bodybuilding in the world. Instead, he's on a little ding rowboat sinking, paddling with his frantic little last swim strokes to try to stay above the water, and he's dying. And
no, he's sitting in the dinghy.
This all would have been completely the opposite had he not stepped on his little dick.
I feel sorry for actually Ron Harris because, like you said, you and Dave have moved on to bigger and better things. I've moved on to, I don't know where the fuck I am. I'm at the airport today, but
you're alive.
It changes all the time. Yeah, but it's like, I feel sorry for Ron Harris in all this because everyone good is gone and he's still there. So he's probably thinking, it's like if you're at the adoption agency and all your friends get adopted and you're like, oh, what's wrong with me? I'm still stuck here. I can't get out of here. It's like I'm still being abused in the office. No, Steve, you're going to tell me you're just going to put the tip in again. I know you. It's like, fucking hell. It's like, fuck. So poor Ron Harris is still stuck there. He must go home and just dream of maybe getting out of the place. Because like I said, we don't know if he's getting paid. We don't know what's happening. He's like, please, someone take me. And like I said, he's still stuck there. And then I'm sure, I would have liked to know Ron Harris's real reaction when Steve come to him and said, we're bringing Douchey on board. Now, as a so-called real journalist, what would your reaction be if they come up to you and said, hey, John and fucking Dave, we're going to bring Douchey on board? Fucking hell. I'd say, Steve, I'm already sucking your cock 10 times. I'll make it 20 times if you don't bring him on board. I'll do anything. I'll even swallow. Come on, Steve, don't bring him on board. It's like crazy. Yeah.
I can't talk.
Stop laughing, John. You're only going to keep encouraging me.
It's because it's true. That's the funny part about it. I could just picture it. I could just picture one of those meetings where he's strategizing. Yeah, we're going to bring on Dookie. We're going to bring on Dookie because he's controversial and then people will. He gets a lot of hits. He gets a lot of hits.
He works for free. He works for free.
because Blackman thinks 15 hits is a lot of hits. You know.
You know what the funny thing is?
Oh boy.
I don't even want to mention his name, but Dookie thinks because Blackman gives him like $15 probably, and he thinks, I'm getting paid. These guys they don't know what they're talking about. I'm getting paid. He's giving him like.
We should have talked about Dookie because he might retaliate and try and insult us.
Oh, yeah. And 15 people will watch the video.
Is MD going to beat the Arnold?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah, guerrilla marketing.
Guerrilla marketing.
In the car park.
Yeah, exactly.
What's this under my fucking windshield wiper? Oh, Jesus Christ.
The bottom line, look, the bottom line in all this is we're having fun with it now, but the truth is that the reason why YouTube channels are successful nowadays is because people want to hear the truth. They want to hear uncensored, and as long as these other sites out there are trying to pretend that they're being uncensored, but they're really not, and they keep getting caught and being shown for being, I guess you could say the people that they're not. In other words, people hate to see hypocrisy, and we love to point hypocrisy out on this show. That's what Iron Rage is about, and that's what today's episode is about. So, guys,
there's John. John's back. Look, I've never seen a guy. He looked out the window and smiled and took off out that door so fast. I haven't seen a guy move that fast since my mate the drug dealer saw the FedEx man pull up.
My dog was in the neighbor's yard. I had to go zap.
Oh yeah, sure, okay. Wink, wink.
I got the zap right here. I got it.
Did you sign your name, John Smith Dookie, to fucking DHL as they just delivered it?
I lost.
Put the gloves on.
Lee is like exponentially getting funny and funnier every show we have him on. It's unbelievable.
He's getting better.
I'm getting prepared because rumor has it I could be lurking around Columbus somewhere.
That's right. Lee is going to be heading over to the Arnold this year.
You might get a free steak dinner and a neck rub out of Blackman.
Oh, down at that great steak place.
Yeah, Mitchell's.
I don't think he's allowed to go there anymore, John.
The only steak he wants is my tube steak. That's the only steak Steve's after.
Yeah, what's your best steak?
I heard Lee's tube steak in his pants is pretty tasty from down under.
Guys,
if I'm coming over and I see Steve, I'll make sure I wax my balls.
If people want to see what Bostin Loyd's response to all this is, we're going to have him on John and I will be hosting a revival of the Heavy Muscle TV show later this week. We'll actually be recording it tonight, but it'll be debuting later this week with the new Whack Pack, Big Lenny, Bostin Loyd, Greg Valentino, and I guess I have to, and Jimmy the Bull is supposed to be calling in, but he has to call his IT guy to get Skype installed on his phone because he's like my dad. He thinks it's like very high tech.
Yeah, but Jimmy has an IT, his own part.
Well, you should when you do that show, make sure you outdo MD and leave it up for at least 8 hours before you pull it down.
Anyway, if you guys want to know what Bostin Loyd's take on this whole thing, you'll have to check out the new Heavy Muscle TV show that'll be debuting here once again on RxMuscle.com. For Lee Priest and John Romano, I'm Dave Palumbo. We'll see you next time.
Look at this. Look how busy the airport is here. Look at that. Look.
Are you in the